Hello. Okay, so DEI is big in the news. It's been for a while. Diversity, equity, inclusiveness. Um, on the surface, not a horrible idea. It's just shouldn't be used as a quota. But let's see. And it is. And so it becomes a horrible idea. Now, a few months ago, someone came out with an idea that if you criticize DEI, you're automatically racist. And that's a lie. The idea being if you criticize someone, oh, he's just a DEI hire, then what you're saying is they were not qualified for the job. And they were only hired because of their race or their gender or their sexual orientation or whatever, which is what you are saying to some extent. And it becomes racist when you just start using it all the time. Every minority who gets hired is just a DEI hire. And there are people who believe that, but that is not what most people say when they criticize DEI hiring. And I know a lot of people in the construction industry who their jobs are hiring women more and more. And people who have worked there for 20, 30 years, have skills, have seniority, are getting the trashy jobs now because, well, we have a new hire, she's a woman, she can't lift this stuff, so we need you to be there to help her lift it. And so they're criticizing DEI hires because instead of getting the comfy indoor jobs, which their status as the seniority would give them, they're working out in harsh weather because a woman can't lift something. And, sometimes picking up slack for women. Sometimes, now, most of these people will say, oh, yeah, there's Jane. She can carry her own weight. We love her. Everyone loves her. So it's not just, oh, we hate women. It is, they don't like women who aren't pulling their weight. Um, I've worked with women and minorities who are very good at their job, and I enjoyed working with them. I've worked with others who were DEI hires. I've worked with straight white men who were not, we wouldn't call them DEI hires, but they couldn't do their job, and I didn't like working with them. It's either they were lazy, they had the knowledge, they got the job, but they were lazy and tried to get other people to do their work for them, or they were overeager, they rushed things and they made a bigger mess than they solved. And I've worked with minorities who did the same thing, and again, knew the job, did it wrong. It's just with DEI, we have created the possibility of, well, we have to hire so many people of this group, and so you're more likely to hire someone who doesn't know what they're doing just to match a quota. And I've seen that happen as well. So, I'm going to talk about the DEI candidate that we had. And people say, well, you're just being racist when you say that. No, I'm not. In fact of the matter is, she pretty much proved she was a DEI candidate. Of course, talking about Kamala Harris here. So we jump back to 2020, sorry. Joe Biden wins the nomination, and if you look at his short list for running mates, they were all women or minorities or a combination women and minorities. And there's a rumor out that says that he was told you need a black woman to be your running mate. I don't know how true that is. Can't remember if I've ever saw a news clip of anyone actually saying that, but there's a rumor going out. Now, if that did happen, then that sort of proves, that's what DEI is. It's don't look at qualifications, look at gender and sex and minority status and whatever. Doesn't mean that you can't find a black woman who would be good for the job, but they didn't. And we have 4 years of proof that they didn't. But anyone saying that is a racist because, bigots like to call other people racists. And DEI hiring is a bigoted thing. It's you're cutting out qualifications based on gender or race or orientation or whatever. And so it is inherently bigoted. It's not politically correct to point out that truth, but it's a truth out nonetheless. So we had 4 years of incompetence, let's call it, in my opinion at least. Some people disagree with that. And then running for president in 2024, or vice president and then president later. And same thing started coming up is, you can't criticize her for none of her policies you're allowed to criticize her for. Although to some extent we didn't know her policies because she didn't really tell them. It was sort of assumed she would continue with Biden's policies, which have failed us for the last 4 years, and because she wouldn't actually tell people what her policies were. The closest she came was she actually tried to subvert some of Trump's policies. Suddenly the border policy, she started to lean his direction on that, or at least in words. She didn't give any details of her plan, but she started to basically mimic what he was saying. But then we get to the last 3 or 4 weeks of her campaigning, and that's all she is talking about basically is we need a woman in the office, we need a black person in the office. If you don't support her, then you're a racist. If you don't support her, you're a sexist. What are your policies? That's what I'm supporting. Or not supporting. She wouldn't tell them. Her policy seemed to be, I'm a black woman, which is what DEI is all about. So yeah, when I say she was a DEI candidate and that she herself proves this, she did. And the people pushing for her, the Obamas, Biden himself, Joe Biden, her husband, everyone else who was supporting her in the last 2 or 3 weeks, it was more about her being a black woman or Trump being a Nazi, racist, fascist without any support for that than anything else. And more to the point, if you don't support the black woman, then you are definitely a Nazi, fascist, racist. For no reason other than the fact that you don't support the black woman, which is what DEI is all about. It's my one qualification is my gender or my race or my sexual orientation. And that's what she ran on for the last 2 to 3 weeks of her campaign. So when I say, yes, she is a DEI hire, she proves it by her own action, by her own campaign. And people, again, not against a black woman as president, but they want a qualified black woman as president. And she did as much as possible to dodge answering what her qualifications were. Possibly because she didn't have any. And again, we saw that for the last 4 years. So that's it. I could probably say more and ramble on more. I'm not going to just because... I will point out one other thing, and that is there was one member of the... I should have looked up the name, I didn't, but came out after the election and suggested Biden should step down so that we would have the first female president. It wasn't, oh, you look tired, Joe, step aside and let Kamala take over, or Kamala, or however you want to pronounce it, sorry about that. It was, so we will have the first female president. So even after she lost the election, people were saying, we need a woman president. She is the DEI candidate. And any criticism about that, well, she's not qualified. The only qualification you're giving us for Joe to step down and her to take his place is she's a woman. So again, even after she lost the election, people on her side were coming out saying she is the DEI candidate. And as I say, that is the main reason she lost. It wasn't racism that made her lose. It was the fact that she had no qualifications other than race. And that of them by itself A, it wasn't a qualification. B, it's not racist to point out. Especially if she herself is supporting that supposition by her very actions, by her very campaign strategy. And so that's it. She was a DEI candidate. That's why she failed. She didn't win primarily because she had nothing else to offer. And so that is all for now. Have a good day.